If I may, I think we can debate a lot of things. I think the point here is that the government is telling us through the president and the vice president and Levitt putting I Stand with ICE on all of the socials that they can kill us at any time and they can get away with it.
Oh, good Lord.
And I think if we interfere with them while they're disappearing people off the street, if we don't like them kidnapping our neighbors, if we don't like them building concentration camps, if we film them while they're doing it, then we can't do anything about it. Because this is no longer the land of the free. And if you do something about it, they will lie about you. They will lie about who you were. And this is the point that they're trying to make right now.
We have this map that shows how the U.S. would be divided in the event of an emergency, if we can pull that up there. There it is. So this is how the U.S. will be divided into districts. You see 10 of them there. This is according to the National Emergency Center establishment. Can you describe what this map is? What exactly does that mean? I mean, it doesn't really make sense in terms of states as we know them. What is this classification system? What are the purposes?
It doesn't look like the map that you and I saw in elementary school.
Not at all.
Effectively, the U.S. has been cordoned off into these different districts, and so these new emergency centers will be spread out throughout the United States in most of these eventually, and it gives FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security jurisdiction over what goes on in these places during a time of emergency.
Okay, I want to go into what, because this act does make some specific examples, some exclusions, set some limitations, I should say. So the National Emergency Center Establishment Act, what it does not do, it does not authorize any federal officer or employee to force an individual to enter a national emergency center or prevent an individual from leaving a national emergency centers. So, Bob, it looks to me like there are some safeguards there. If you don't like it, you can leave.
Well, I'd like to think so. And this was actually one of the other things that was changed in this new version of the bill. They added this. But if you read what they're saying, federal officer or federal employee, that doesn't cover members of the military. And since these are going to be installed in decommissioned and existing military bases, you're going to have people from the military there. So I would think they will have people, namely in the military, who would be able to force people to stay there or prevent them from leaving if that is their what they want to do.
Now, for civil liberty advocates like yourself and others like you that are worried that this could be a precursor to government overreach, what would satisfy what would make you more comfortable with this piece of legislation, I guess? Do you think that the language in it should be clarified, that it's not so vague so that it could be interpreted and abused?
Ideally, it would be withdrawn, but if I were forced to live with it, I would want the restrictions on keeping people in there to extend to the military and, in fact, to anybody, not let the states or even local governments have that ability.
Okay. Bob, so we're talking about emergencies, we're talking about disasters, we're talking about chaotic situations where some order hopefully the goal there is to be established. And, some are going to say desperate times call for desperate measures. So doesn't that ring true for natural disasters and cases like that?
What do desperate people in the government do in those situations? Like I said, I think it's a slippery slope, and we don't really need people in power with these vast sweeping powers to begin with. Unfortunately, there's moral hazard involved here, too, where people really don't take care of themselves anymore, plan for these emergencies when they have the federal government and other governments ready to step in. And we saw what a great job happened in Sandy and in Katrina. So, like I said, moral hazard.